he said zone 2. You said zones. There are zones. What are the zones?
Yeah. So the interesting thing about zones is, I mean, I don't want this to come off like negatively per se, but they're just made up cut points basically.
Okay.
So somebody at some point has, I mean, it makes sense. It's not useless, but it's just, again, you just have to view them as these arbitrary sort of cut points in heart rate. So you have heart rate zones. Historically, we've saw exercise broken up into 5 zones.
Okay.
1 through 5. Zone 1 being the lowest percentage of your maximum heart rate. Zone 5 being the highest percentage of your max heart rate. So for example, in zone 5, you're anywhere from 90 to 100% of your heart rate, roughly, depending on which resource you're looking at.
Right.
Zone 1, which should be theoretically very easy.
Like what we're doing right now?
We'll get to that, actually.
Oh,
okay. That's a good point. Zone 1 would be 50 to 60% of max heart rate. Now zone 2, 60 to 70%.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 65 to 75. Sometimes it's 55 to 70. It's just, it's a lot of time. The problem lies, as you know, I'm sure listeners can tell, is like, what is it a bad thing if I'm at 72 and I meant to be at 70?
Right.
You know, what if I'm at 75 and I only meant to be at 65? You know, those sort of things that when somebody finally does start to get moving, or start to do some conditioning that they're interested in, and then all of a sudden they're just lambasted by these details that they're like, well, it was a waste. I went too hard or I went too slow.
Yeah.
It's, how am I supposed to realize these benefits if I just blew it on my zone 2?
Right.
You know, so I think that's the spirit of why I wanted to answer this question, really. So it was a great question, but
your point being, it doesn't matter. It's not as specific as people seem to think it is, and it's not the end of the world.
Right. So it's just it's the craze right now.
Don't get hung up on the details.
Mm-hmm. Like you'll hear zone 2, and for all intents and purposes, zone 2 is a sustainable effort. You know, it's an effort that you theoretically can maintain a conversation during. It's an effort that you would theoretically maybe have an issue singing during. Like, so it's a conversational-ish pace. You know, if you push below that or above it, then, you know, maybe, you know, you're starting to kick into these other areas. But heart rate is just isn't the end all be all.
Right.
The heart rate zone is just a proxy for effort. So it's not everything. So, and I think the biggest thing to take away there is different modalities of exercise are going to kick your heart rate into different zones. So you can't extrapolate the heart rate data. Like just because you ran or walked at this given pace and your heart rate was at this level, you're not going to be able to extrapolate that to the bike ride that you had, or, you know, let's say you had a circuit with mixed objects and you were doing sit-ups and burpees and you were carrying kettlebells, and your heart rate's going to be way different for those.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's to say that you were in zone 2 during something like that with kettlebells and so on and so forth. It's just different because now you threw in all these other variables, like the sheer nature of, you know, think about holding a kettlebell, for example.
Momentary exertion versus the sustained.
Yes. And you're squeezing a kettlebell. You're basically like in this isometric frozen position, this bracing, which is by default physiologically going to cause your heart rate to increase.
Okay.
And just because your heart rate is increased, then that doesn't mean you're realizing the benefits of the cardio activity that you were looking to derive. So I know that kind of got lost a little bit.
No, I know what you're saying.
But again, just further proof that heart rate is really just another small piece of the puzzle of exercise.
It's a thing you can look at, but don't hang your hat just on that. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about the general benefits, the overall benefits of health from cardiovascular exercise in general. And I guess zone 2 in specific. Is the point of zone 2, is the reason that it's all the hotness right now, is that because it's sustainable? It's a thing that anybody can kind of pick up and start doing, and the whole point is you can kind of find your place that you can keep going? I
think so.
Yeah.
I really do. And for a lot of people, you know, high intensity stuff, that's an immediate turn off as far as jumping into an exercise program.
That's me.
You know, so it's like, okay, something a little more sustainable is good. But then for some people who feel like they have limited time to say that they need to do 30, 40, 50 minutes of a sustained effort, 30 minutes on the bike, 35 minutes of walking.
Yeah.
To some people, that's like, I need a Netflix show. That's boring. How are you kidding me? Like that sort of thing is, it all depends on who you're talking to. But regardless, hearing that you can realize such profound health benefits from a relatively low effort.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why it's, I think, become so popular. But it's also now you have this zone 2. What's zone 2? Now you got all these people worried about heart rate.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that the short answer is yeah.